guys, Ken Stretz Tactical. So I want to do a quick video. A lot of new gun owners out there now with the whole COVID crisis. Guns are flying off the shelf, and some of the gun stores, at least here in New York that I talk to, they don't have time to sit there and go over how your gun works for you. Obviously, nothing replaces good quality training and coming out to the range and get training with a good instructor, certified instructor, and all that. Not just, you know, somebody you think knows a little bit about guns, but actually taking a class. So I'm going to try and break this video up in different segments. All I have here are pump action shotguns, so I'll try and refer to semi-autos and some of the others, you know, over and unders and side by side and all that here and there. But generally speaking, this is going to be about pump shotguns, in particular the Remington 870 and the Mossberg. In this case, it's a 590A1. All right, so let's get into it. Let's start with safety. All guns are always loaded. Even if they're not, you treat them as if they are. Never point your gun at anything you're not willing to destroy. So what does that mean? Again, treating every gun like it's loaded. Again, this gun is clear and safe, and it's a safe direction over here where the camera is. I wouldn't point my gun at you. Okay, again, clear and safe gun, safe direction behind the camera. I wouldn't move it around to kind of, hey, you know, how's the barrel look? The barrel look crooked, or not thinking like, oh man, look at my gun, or anything stupid like that. Things like that happen. People don't think, they don't know. And it's just a case of you don't know what you don't know. You're new to guns, and maybe you've been around guns a little bit and you take it for granted. So never point your muzzle at anything you're not willing to destroy. So if you do screw up, again, the gun's pointed in a safe direction. Preferably it's pointed towards something that will stop a bullet if you screw up. Finger off the trigger, outside the trigger guard, and until you made a conscious decision to pull the trigger, right? So some people say your sights are on target, and then you put your finger on. I prep my trigger on the way up. That's a whole other thing. To that, I keep my safety on all my guns until I'm ready to fire. So I'm in a ready position. I drop the safety. I make the decision to shoot. My finger's either straight along the frame, or in this case with the Remington 870 to where the crossbolt safety is. My ready position's here. I make the decision to shoot. I drop the safety as I come up, access the trigger, and fire when the gun stops where I want it to, as long as the threat is still a threat. So the safety's on until you want to shoot, want to fire the round, and fingers off the trigger, outside the trigger guard until you made that decision to shoot. When you're done shooting, finger comes out of the trigger guard, goes straight, all clear. You know, there's no more threats available or whatever. I put the gun back on safe and good to go there. All right. Next, beware your target. What's beyond it? What's in front of it? So I'll use a few different contexts. One, range setting, right? So the range I'm on now, the walls that separate the different bays don't go all the way to the berm, so you can walk around, and I've seen that happen during training classes where I got the class out during dry fire, gets windy, target blown off the adjacent range, somebody follows the target around the concrete wall, next thing you know, we're pointing guns at that person because they were an idiot and they moved around the berm onto another bay. So being aware of your target, what's beyond it, what's in front of it. In a situation like this, you get an idiot who's downrange and decides to pop his head around. Also on the same range, this facility is also a park. Hiker gets lost, or a couple of hikers get lost. They're up on the ridge, downrange. Had to, you know, call a ceasefire for that as well. So you got to be aware that even on something like a range, because you never know what might happen. In a hunting scenario, beware your target, what's beyond it, what's in front of it. You know, you got a, I don't know, deer, mountain lion, whatever you're hunting up on a hill, and there's nothing behind it but sky. You know, you probably don't want to take that shot, right? Because if you miss or that bullet passes through the animal, where's it going? All right. So you got to have a good backstop behind it, right? Also, in a home defense, tactical scenario, whatever, you got to be concerned about what type of ammo you're using and will it over-penetrate and hit what's behind it. And I'm not going to get into a thing about, you know, what's good for home defense or what's not, because there's 1,000 different opinions out there. You know, I don't think birdshot is right for home defense, so I'll just throw that out there. But buckshot, slugs, whatever, you can do your own research. Today's not about that. What's in front of your target? You know, at least in a range scenario, if someone drops something that's on the line with you and they move forward to get it, which they shouldn't do, they should wait till the line's cold, let an instructor know, and you get whatever you dropped later on. But you got to be careful that someone doesn't, you know, step in front of you or just bend over in front of you, especially if you're not maintaining good muzzle awareness. So where your target, what's in front of it, and what's behind it, okay? Again, in your house as well, right? So something's going on and you're going to move down the hall to get to your kids, you got to make sure your kids aren't in front of you. And I've seen it with law enforcement training, with active shooter stuff, people taking shots from behind other officers, and you know, an officer's about to move to the side, someone's taking shots past them, that's like a no-go. So you got to come online to shoot next to someone, right? You don't want to shoot, you know, unless you got a good amount of distance between you and there's no chance of that person stepping into your line of fire. Or maybe you got a kid, you know, kneeling down or whatever, and they stand up in front of your muzzle as you're going to take a shot. So you got to be cognizant of that in a home defense tactical scenario as well. So there's safety. You know, there's accidental discharges and negligent. Negligent was, you know, you could have prevented it. Accidental, some people say, you know, the gun dropped or fell, or there was a mechanical, whatever you want to call an accidental. Negligent is something, you did something you shouldn't have done, and you caused the gun to go off.